Good evening. I'd like to call to order the Town of Ayer Select Board meeting for Tuesday, March 16th. It's open session remote participation. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, Governor Baker issued an emergency order temporarily suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law. Public bodies otherwise governed by the open meeting law are temporarily relieved from the requirement that meetings be held in public places, open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure public access to the body's deliberations through adequate alternative means. This meeting will be broadcast live on Channel 8 and on Zoom. The public may participate remotely by following the call-in information on the bottom of the live broadcast screen. For the Zoom meeting information relating to remote participation, please contact Carly Antonellis, the Assistant Town Manager, at atm@ayer.ma.us or 978-772-8220, extension 100, prior to the meeting. If we could start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the
United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Are there any agenda revisions or changes from board members?
I don't have any.
I don't have any either.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Seconded.
Okay. Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, and the agenda is approved. Carly? All right. She's still there.
Oh, go ahead, Mr.
I just want to, I didn't see any announcements. I just want to make sure I didn't miss something.
I don't believe there were any this evening.
Okay.
No, there were none submitted.
Okay. Sorry about that. I didn't think so, but I want to make sure. Is there anybody on the line for public input? Oh, sorry, I forgot to restart my video. Sorry about that. Okay, not hearing anybody. So the first item up then is a public hearing for a poll petition for National Grid and Verizon on Copeland Drive. Janice, do you want to open us in public?
Yep. Town of Ayer notice of public hearing, Ayer Select Board. The Ayer Select Board will be conducting a remote participation public hearing on Tuesday, March 16th, 2021 at 6:05 p.m. regarding a petition by National Grid and Verizon New England Incorporated to locate poles, wires, and fixtures, including the necessary sustaining and protecting fixtures along and across the following public way. Copeland Drive, no relation. National Grid to relocate one JO pole on Copeland Drive beginning at a point approximately 150 feet north of the center line of the intersection of Littleton Road and Copeland Drive and continuing approximately 25 feet in east-south direction, relocating P1 to a double circuit feeder for customer upgrade. Name of applicant, National Grid and Verizon New England. Date of public hearing, Tuesday, March 16th, 2021. Time of public hearing, 6:05 p.m. Location of public hearing, remote participation. Copies of the application and Zoom call-in information are available by emailing the Select Board's office at atm@ayer.ma.us or by calling 978-772-8220, extension 100.
Great, thank you.
And Mr. Chair, I do have a screen share if you'd like of the plan that was in your packet.
That'd be great, thank you.
Sure. I don't know if anyone's here from National Grid.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm here. My name is
okay.
Robert Williams.
Hi, Robert, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Sorry about that.
Where'd it go?
I don't know, it just told me it disconnected. How's that? Is it back?
No.
Not yet.
I'm sorry. Huh. Try this. Is
All
that
right,
it
now
up?
we got it. Yep.
Yep,
Okay.
that's good.
Okay. So there was,
So DPW had
yes, yeah.
a concern.
And Robert, were you, or Mr. Williams, did you get that
The cons-
notice?
Yes, I got both. I believe one was about the wetlands and another was about moving pole 10.
Okay,
The wetlands wouldn't be an issue from what the designer that worked on this. We usually submit an environmental check. We always submit an environmental checklist when we're installing a new pole, and for us to do that, we have to check where wetlands and floodplains are, and it was outside of our 100-foot buffer zone of any wet.
okay,
And then pole 10, as far as moving it out of the little like island that it's on, it's a very busy pole, and with the equipment that's on it, and there's a lot on it, there's not really any place that would work for us to move it to. It could present an issue trying to do that.
okay. And then since the DPW issue was raised by Mark, is that is the response, do you have an issue with it or?
Let me unmute. There we go. Can you hear me?
Yes, yeah.
So I had talked with National Grid about that a while ago when we were doing improvements to Copeland Drive. We'd had some concerns about traffic safety and was told basically the same thing. But in the meantime, since this was brought to my attention by Mr. Diskin, also I looked at it just that it was the addition of one pole, the P1, but now looking at the legend closer, there's 2 additional poles on Littleton Road, and I'm not sure what the town's jurisdiction on that is, because it's a state road, but we have some concerns about those 2 pole locations also.
So typically when we do a state, when we install poles around a state road, we get approval from Mass Dot, and we make a petition, and that's normally our regular route for those.
Because the one that's on the south side of Littleton Road, the P9-50-84, we've got utilities right in that location. So you're going to be putting the pole right on top of our utilities. I also think there's a sidewalk there. And then the other one across the road, I think, would be a traffic hazard. Again, you're blocking a sight line for cars coming out of Copeland Drive. So I didn't have any issues with P1, but I have issues with the 2 P950s.
Mr. Chair, when you have a minute.
Okay.
Yes, yes, Ken, Mr. Diskin.
Ken Diskin, 180 Washington Street. So as Mark mentioned, I did give him a call about this. So I have a couple of questions for Mr. Williams, not the least of which is the date of the exhibit that's attached. The petition sketch does not match the date that's indicated in the paperwork that was submitted. This is dated 1/12 of 2020. I believe the references are all to February 1st of 2021. So that's one item. The second item is the dark blue lines typically shown on the plan to indicate the existing location of overhead wires. But in fact, the existing overhead wires to pole P11, which is across the street from P1, are currently from P1 to P11. So that is actually shown incorrectly. It's shown as though it exists at the relocated cut pole P1. So that is incorrect. And I have a large concern about if the balance of the work is much more than what is shown relocating one pole. But in fact, just like Mark Wetzel said, involves the installation of more poles, which would make that whole area just look like a nightmare as far as appearance if you had that many poles in that location. And furthermore, Mr. Williams, does this sketch only indicate a portion of the work that needs to be completed to get power to P9 5084? In other words, it doesn't seem to be anything on that side of 2A at the moment. So those are some of the clarifications I'm asking for. And I would encourage the selectmen not to close this tonight until the sketches are correct and all the answers are provided to the select board.
If I could say that sketch, the reason why it shows as existing on pole 1 is just because technically, like, she replaced the pole, but technically that line is existing. So I think just to make it less confusing, because it is on the old pole 1. I mean, yeah, that's why she put it existing on the new pole 1, just to show that there is a line of primary in that location.
I think I disagree. It makes it more confusing. If you don't show, I think you should show the complete existing piece of work and the complete new proposed work. So we as members of the town understand the scope. And as I mentioned before, I'm not on board with adding this many poles to that area and make it look really confusing and really cluttered. If I had a recommendation to National Grid and Verizon, and if we were to approve this, I would like to see the entire project of the new work involved to be underground. So there's no more visual poles overhead in that area and overhead wires.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Diskin. Scott or Janice, do you have any questions? Right now? I'm sort of inclined to agree with Ken and that we close this for this evening to allow the town and the departments to resolve these issues and move it to the March 30th meeting.
I concur. I think it's, the date on the diagram should be a little more recent than over a year ago, for one. And, Mr. Diskin does point out it is going to be a very cluttered area as people are driving down the road, and it's just going to be very unsightly. So I would support continuing this through to March 30th.
I agree.
Okay.
Seconded, if you made a motion.
Okay. Yeah. Should we just move?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to continue the public hearing to March 30th.
Seconded.
Okay. Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. So this is closed for this evening, and we'll take it up again on March 30th. Give the town a chance to address the issues with National Grid.
And Mr. Chair, I just want to put a time along with the date when we continue hearings. So it would be 6:05 on March 30th.
Great. Okay. Thank you so much, Carla.
Yep.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Our next item up is a lien subordination request from Alicia Hershey. Sorry. Hi, Alicia. How are you?
Hi, good evening. This is pretty standard lien subordination request. This is from one of our residents who went through our rehab program in 2012. She has had a subordination, about 2014, and she is requesting another one. She's trying to, lower her monthly payment and has requested the town. She's not taking any money out. It is a pretty high loan to value ratio. The last time we subordinated, it was underwater. It is a 4-family. It does have restrictions on rental, for low to moderate income. It is all the things that we like. But it is lean to value ratio, a loan to value ratio of 94, let me see, sorry. 94.30%. So it is up to the board whether they're comfortable with it. No positions are really changing on it. It's what we've already have. It's really just a change for her. Do you have any questions?
I didn't. Scott or Janice, did you have any?
So just to confirm, this would lower the applicant's monthly payment by $500?
Yes.
Pretty good amount.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Thank
have
you.
no issues with this.
I don't have any other issues either.
Okay. Me neither. Do I make a motion?
I'll make a motion that the select board approve the lien subordination request case number 11-369 as outlined by Alicia Hersey tonight.
I will second.
Oh,
Okay.
to not, oh, for the, I'm sorry.
Nope.
So not to exceed the amount of $350,176.
Second.
Okay. Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. Thank you,
Thank you.
Alicia.
Thank you, Alicia.
Have a
Thanks,
good night.
Alicia.
Next item up is the public hearing for the fiscal year 22 water, sewer, and solid waste rates.
All right, here we go.
Back to
Town
Janice.
of Ayer, Select Board, Public Hearing Notice, FY 2022 Water, Sewer, and Solid Waste Rate Public Hearing Notice. The Ayer Select Board will be conducting a remote public hearing on Tuesday, March 16, 2021 at 6:15 p.m. The Select Board, in their legal capacity as the town's water and sewer commissioners and rate authority for the Solid Waste Enterprise Fund Transfer Station, will hear the report and recommendations of the town's Water and Sewer Rate Review Committee, take public comments, and consider approval and adoption of the FY 2022 water, sewer, and solid waste rates. For Zoom call-in information, please contact Assistant Town Manager Carly Antonellis at 978-772-8220, extension 100, or at atm@air.ma.us. And for your info, we do have members of the rate committee with us tonight.
Okay. Is somebody making a presentation?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
through you and the board, have Mark Wetzel, the Department of Public Works Superintendent, will be the point person for the Rate Review Committee's presentation tonight.
Great. Thank you.
Let's see, share. Let's go. There we go. Okay, has everyone got a good view of that?
Yes.
Yep.
So I only have about 30 slides here, so we'll try to get through them quickly. So the agenda is we'll just give a brief overview of the committee members, rate process, overview of our infrastructure. I like to do the overview of the infrastructure because people want to understand what they're paying for, and we do have a lot of infrastructure that is related to getting a drop of water from our water supply wells to your house, and then taking it from your house through our treatment process and discharging it into the Nashua River. So it's a pretty complicated process, and we've got a lot of infrastructure that goes along with it. We also have a lot of regulatory requirements, capital improvements to maintain our infrastructure. We'll talk about the proposed water and sewer rates that the committee's put together, the impacts on a typical bill, and then we'll go through the solid waste budget revenue and proposed transfer station fees. So the rate review committee members, select board member Livingston is the chair, Mr. Scotchless is citizens representative, Mr. Mark Smith is from the finance committee, me from the Department of Public Works, Pamela Martin, the DPW business manager, is on the committee, Ms. Lisa Gabri, the finance manager, and Mr. Robert Pontbriand. So the meeting goals tonight: approve I'm going to present the 2 new positions for water and sewer enterprise funds that we've talked about previously, and set the water rates for FY22, set the sewer rates for FY22, and set the solid waste fees for FY22. So we'll first talk about water and wastewater. This has been a challenging year for all of us, and especially challenging for the water and sewer department. We have staff that I don't know how to run a water plant. I could probably figure it out after about 3 or 4 months of trying to do it, but we have people that are specialized in it. They have special licenses, and with the threat of one of our staff getting sick and quarantining staff, it was pretty stressful getting through the initial period of how are we going to run this department, maintain all of our services, and keep everyone healthy. But we do focus on water and wastewater 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. We maintain our drinking water supply wells. We treat the water to make it safe. We test the water. It gets pumped to your house, and then we collect the wastewater through pipes in the ground and then treat it and discharge it into the river. So the air water system, you can see the picture. That's our 1895 pumping station, which is at the intersection of Harvard Road and East Main Street, right where the Balch Pond comes out. And that was originally constructed in 1895. So we've got a lot of pipes that were put in the ground in 1895. So we've got a lot of old infrastructure. We have about 3,200 customers. More than half of our water is used for commercial use with Pepsi and Nasoya and some of the other businesses in town. We also can provide fire protection throughout the town. We have 50 miles of water main pipe, 5 wells, 2 water treatment plants, and 2 water storage tanks. So quite a bit of infrastructure. Some of our water infrastructure issues, we have aging pipes, so we get numerous breaks. We've already had a few so far this year. It seems like it's always on the coldest day of the year that we're out there trying to fix a leaky pipe. We get a lot of dirty water complaints. You can see that picture is one of the pipes that came out of East Main Street. You can see it's been in there over 120 years, and it's got a lot of stuff built up on the inside of it, and that stuff can come loose and create water quality problems. We've got a lot of dead end pipes where the water takes a long time to get from our supply out to the end of, say, Westford Road. So we can get some dirty water and smelly water complaints. Our biggest challenge has been the PFAS contamination, and I'll talk a little bit about that later on. We're also highly regulated. I had about a half an hour conversation with DEP today on some PFAS issues. Last week we had 2 2-hour sessions with EPA to talk about our wastewater, and we test for over 100 water quality parameters throughout the year. So PFAS treatment costs, I keep track of, I have a chronology of everything we've done and everything we've spent. And so far we're up to about $11.5 million. It's present in all of our wells. We're going to find probably as they start doing more testing throughout the state, it's present in probably about half of the water supplies in the state. The Grove Pond Treatment Plant is in service. It's operating, removing all the PFAS. It costs $4.4 million. We have a grant from the Army to pay for that construction. We're still figuring out the O&M costs. It's easy to sit down on paper and say, well, we're going to have to use this much chemical, change these things that often, but we're finding out that there's a lot of unknowns that we're working through. Spectacle Pond Treatment Plant was a little more complicated, a tougher site that cost us $6.2 million. We got a grant for $200,000 for the engineering costs, and we've got a state 0% interest loan for the construction costs, which saves a significant amount of money. So here's the new treatment plant. It's this square here. This is our old treatment plant that removes the iron and manganese from the water, and then it flows through there and goes into to these ion exchange vessels here. We also, off to the side here, have some chemical feed and some additional filters to make sure the water is safe before it goes into the special media in the filters. The water goes through one filter, then through here, goes through the other filter, and then out to your houses. Spectacle Pond is a little farther behind. We started construction in November. Expect completion this fall. We also are going to do some work to the existing plant that was built in the mid 80s, but you can see this is a pretty tight site here. We've got an existing well here that we have to build a relocated well and then demolish this, and then the new building will go in this site here. We've got a lot of wetlands out there. We've got Blanding's turtles that we have to be careful of. So it's a fairly complicated site to work on. Air sewer system was a little newer. It was constructed primarily in 1945. We have 34 miles of gravity sewer, 3.5 miles of force main, 19 pumping stations that are all very costly to maintain. And then we have an advanced wastewater treatment plant that removes the solids, the pathogens, as well as any nutrients before it goes into the Nashua River. We also, this is the picture of the plant. So we have primary settlers, aeration, secondary settlers, and then it goes in through some filters, and then UV disinfection, and then out to the river. Our sludge that we collect from the solids is, we used to dispose of it on site, ran out of capacity, and so now it's trucked off-site to a location in Rhode Island, and we have a contractor who does that. The infrastructure, as I mentioned, was put in, a lot of it was put in 1945. It's clay pipe. So we did an analysis a few years ago. We're in the middle of doing a 10-year improvement program at the water treatment plant. We've got dozens of pumps, motors, mechanical equipment. It's all costly to operate and maintain. Things can break. And then here's a picture of, you can see what we're having leaks into our sewer from groundwater. And so that's what we're spending the $750,000 a year to repair. So we're about halfway through our wastewater treatment plant upgrades. So completed to date, we're focusing on reliability and safety issues. So we did a major electrical system upgrade. We had a problem where our motor control center and our electrical building didn't have any air conditioning. So the expensive electronics were overheating in the summer. So we put in HVAC system in that building. We upgraded the HVAC system in the wastewater treatment plant. We did a lot of plant-wide architectural and structural repairs to the facility that was aging. We upgraded our grit removal system. This is something that the DEP cited us on. It was needed some improvements. We also upgraded our SCADA. That's called supervisory control and data acquisition. That's what we control our plant with. And we also beefed up our cybersecurity. We put in a new fire protection system, and then we constructed space for the next phase of the work, which is putting in a sludge dewatering system. We're required by the EPA to upgrade our chemical feed system for our alum. So that's underway as part of this phase of the work. So now we get to the important part, setting the rates. So one thing that Ayer has been really successful in is to look at the rates every year and to adjust them based on the need for short-term and long-term capital improvements and operating expenses. So we don't have these big spikes in rates, with the exception of when we find something like PFAS in our water that's not anticipated. But the way the rates are structured, we can absorb things like that. We continue to build the stabilization reserve balances, and then use that stabilization reserve as needed to manage the rates. I presented this to the board and the finance committee. We were proposing 2 new positions in the water and wastewater enterprise funds. One would be a DPW assistant superintendent. for water and wastewater. We're getting more and more bogged down with our management of our system, and with all the regulatory approvals. I spent about 2 more hours today working on my annual report that the state requires. So we have a lot of reporting, a lot of data, as well as overseeing all the capital improvements of the infrastructure. And then we're also proposing a water and sewer billing clerk that would be a part-time 19-hour per week position. These positions would be totally funded out of the water and sewer rates, and would add about a penny to the water rate and 2 cents to the sewer rate. Water division budget, you can see actually the budget this year decreased. Primarily our debt went down significantly as a result of the state zero interest loan that we received for the PFAS construction, and for the grant from the Army. So that had a significant benefit on the overall budget for the water. This just gives you a pretty good idea of wages, expenses, and debt are about 3/4 of the budget, and then we keep about 8% for stabilization and capital purchases, and then we have indirect costs, which are staff benefits and other town-related costs that are appropriate for the water division. And then we have a capital plan. We've are maintaining our annual water main replacements. Some of this budget comes out of the capital, and some we put into the operating budget. But we've been spending $250,000 a year. We propose to bump that up in the future. And I think we're doing Wright Road is the project for this spring. And you'll be signing the contract, I think, on that a little bit later. We also included $100,000. We got a $3.3 million grant to redo West Main Street, which a portion of that is to replace the water main, which is an old undersized water main. You get a lot of dirty water complaints out there. There's poor fire protection, and so this is a portion of the cost. This is the town share to do that. So the proposed water rates, based on the budget and the capital plan, would be to raise the step 1 rate from $2.88 per 100 cubic feet to $2.95 per 100 cubic feet. Step 2 would increase from $3.56 per 100 cubic feet to $3.65, and step 3 would be $4.22 up to $4.33. The conservation rate, that's what we charged for the outdoor use only meters, and hopefully why we call it the conservation rate is hopefully when people get their bill, they realize that they shouldn't be watering their lawn when it's raining out because it's costing them a lot of money. The sewer rates, this is I mentioned the SCADA system that controls our system, and this is a picture of that, and it shows all the operating parameters in our system. And so the wastewater division budget has gone up a little bit. Primarily, we have wages increasing, we have debt increasing, and the Devon's numbers are a little soft right now because we're going to be renegotiating those at the end of the year, but those are the projected numbers based on what we've been paying. And you can see in this case, the debt on the treatment plant is a lot more than what it is in the water, and that's primarily because we don't have a grant source for those costs. Capital plan, you can see we have our $750,000 a year for our inflow and filtration repairs. The benefit of that is not only are we maintaining our sewer system, but right now when it rains, we treat about half of the flow is basically clean water running into the system. So if we remove that, then our flow and hopefully our operating costs will go down. We have the next 3 phases of the wastewater treatment plant upgrades. And then we've been looking at our valve and piping in our 2 major pumping stations, and we're going to need to do some upgrades to those in the near future. So for the sewer, the step 1 would increase 41 cents from $8.16 to $8.57 per 100 cubic feet. Step 2 would be $9.34 up to $9.81 for a 47-cent increase. And step 3 would be $10.63 up to $11.16 for a 53-cent increase. So what are the impacts on the average Ayer resident? So the average Ayer resident has a quarterly bill of about 1,000 cubic feet. So, the quarterly increase for water is about 70 cents. The quarterly increase for sewer is $4.10 for a total increase per quarter of $4.80 or $19.20 a year. Next is the transfer station fees. So solid waste disposal is and the transfer station are also an enterprise fund, which means that that the revenue, all the revenues go towards the operating costs, and so it's separate accounting, and the fees for the permits and the bags are charged appropriately for the solid waste services. Revenue is based primarily on the permit sales and the pay-as-you-throw bag sales, and the current budget does have a subsidy from the general fund taxes, which is about 30% of the present budget. So the FY22 proposed budget is $528,000. As I mentioned, we get the revenue from our permits, our bag fees. We do have some grant money for our recycling operation, and we also get about, I think it's about $28,000 a year from our solar lease up at the landfill. The general fund subsidy, and that 43% I don't think is accurate. I think that's a carryover. It's $160,000. We're proposing using $35,000 of retained earnings. So we need to generate from our permit and bag sales about $300,000. I also wanted to note that we didn't increase any of our fees in FY21. Some of the budget issues, our solid waste disposal contract is up in July. We're starting to get proposals and bids for a new 3-year, but based on what I've seen, the cost is going to increase. Recycling costs have increased significantly. That's based on the demand for the recycling material, which has dropped off in about the last 5 years. We're also not selling as many transfer station permits as we have in the past, and our pay-as-you-throw bag costs are also going up this year. So we evaluated 10 different rate scenarios for the bag and permit increases, looking at if we raise the permit a certain amount, the bag rate a certain amount, and different combinations. And our current fees generate about $290,000. We need to generate just over $300,000 to meet the budget. So based on looking at all those 10 different scenarios, the committee recommends that we increase the bag fees by $1 per bag. So that would be the small size would go from $3 a bag to $4 a bag. The medium would go from $4 a bag to $5 a bag, and the large would go from $5 to $6 a bag. So this is the final slide. We're recommending that the select board vote to approve the assistant superintendent for water and wastewater and the water and sewer billing clerk for approval at town meeting as part of the budget. The select board vote to increase water and sewer rates as proposed by the rate committee effective July 1, 2021, and that the select board vote to increase the pay-as-you-throw bag fees as proposed by the rate committee effective July 1, 2021. And I'll take any questions.
Great, thank you, Mark. Any, first, if we could, Scott or Janice, you were part of the process, so any questions?
Yeah, I have a couple questions, Mark. I know you mentioned that the sludge hauling cost is expensive. A few years ago, you had looked at possibly putting I think it was a sludge digester on the wastewater treatment plant property. Is that something that may be worth looking into, going for a go-forward approach?
What we discovered was that it was very expensive and very risky. The reason is the sludge that we generate doesn't have enough energy to generate a lot of electricity. So what you need to do is supplement that with food waste. And looking at how much food waste we'd need to take in, how we would have to process the food waste, it ended up being about a $15 million project. And without really a known source of where we would get all that food waste. So it would be basically be a pretty risky and costly operation if we couldn't get the food waste that we needed. One of the options that I'd looked into in addition to that was privatizing it. And I think that at one point that was attractive, but I think the tax incentives for the investors to do that have changed, and it's not as popular of an option anymore, but it's something we could look at in the future.
Okay, thanks. And then on the the transfer station, so I did a quick math. So it's 30% is the subsidy percentage
Right,
for this year.
Yeah.
So I guess looking at the costs and the subsidy, et cetera, I think over the next year it might be worth looking at the transfer station as a whole and the services that it's providing, and maybe looking at if it's time to begin thinking about, I don't know, just changes to the way that we're running the transfer station, looking for cost benefits as a potentially.
So I can actually answer that. It was actually discussed yesterday in our meeting, that our next meeting, I've asked the committee to come up with some ideas as to what we can do, and that I would then like to have the rate review committee have like some public hearings to hear from the people for some ideas also. Because by the time we get that kind of organized and up and running, it will have been at least 9 years since we've gone to the people to discuss the transfer station. Because there is some issues, and right now I can tell you there was a pretty healthy discussion about the bags. And I was very clear of like, I think the bags are very problematic because the bags prices keep going up. And yes, it's a 30% subsidy of the transfer station operating fund, but it's not 30% coming from the general fund. So I just want to clear that up.
Yeah.
Some people get that confused. But yes, it is being discussed as far as we do need to come up with a better plan as to what's going on with the transfer station. So there is an idea in place to try to move forward with that conversation.
All right, that's excellent to hear. Thank you. Because, looking at the bag costs, we're starting to, I think, get to that break-even point where it's almost more beneficial for people to look for a third-party service as opposed to using a transfer station.
And that's part of the problem. I think that the pay-as-you-throw bag fees are actually what kind of turns people off. So, I mean, you get 5 bags in a sleeve. So we'll just look at the medium bags. I think they would be now $5. So there's $25 for one sleeve of 5 bags. Now, maybe for one household, that's fine. They're only going to use like maybe they're only going to the transfer station twice a month. So, they're able to stretch that out. But for other households, they need those bags pretty much every week, depending on how many people are in there. Now, everybody knows, what they're paying for and why they're paying this money as far as for the operating expenses and everything like that. But when you're at the grocery store and you're picking up your bags on top of all your other bags, all your other groceries, you are going to 100% forget why you've just paid the amount of money you did for the bags. Because all you know is you just had to shell out all this money. So it is problematic. And I brought up, would it be beneficial to go back to maybe the old stickers? Is that a better cost? And those had some issues being problem too, because you'd have, some people who wouldn't put the sticker on the bag, or they'd put a half a sticker. And so that caused a problem, but it's very clear that these bag fees are getting very expensive. Now, again, I've seen some people converse about this and everything. When I kind of price this out, I still think that the transfer station, even with the pay as you throw bags, are more cost effective for a household. But people will also, depending on that household, that convenience of having somebody pick up their trash can may be a better deal for them. So, but that's why I do think it's very important that, we kind of move forward and then go back to the people and talk to them and find out what is working, what isn't working, and how we can maybe proceed forward with this in a better way.
All right, great. 'Cause, I totally support the transfer station. I think it offers a lot more than what people realize, but also as a father of three, I'm one of those people using 1 to 2 bags per week. So look forward to future conversation on that. Thanks.
And Selectman Hood, I just wanted to mention, when you asked about the sludge disposal, the next phase of the project that was, it's in this year's capital budget, is to put in a sludge dewatering system. Right now we haul, our sludge is about 3% solid, so we're hauling a lot of water. We're going to put in a sludge dewatering system that will cut that at least in half. So it should cut down on the costs.
All right, thanks, Mark. That's all the questions I have. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, Scott. And Mark, just like to kind of go off of what you were just saying, is the cost of the hauling based on weight or capacity, where cutting it in half, you'd have more capacity, or?
It's based on the weight of the discharge. So, while we truck it based on the number of gallons, and then the disposal cost is based on the weight. So if we reduce the volume and the weight, then the cost will go down. We won't have to truck as much, and we won't have to pay as much.
And then my other questions went on the budgets. When you listed wages, did those include the 2 new positions that you're asking for?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And also, so what was the thinking behind, I might have missed this. There's no increase on the sticker for the transfer station, correct? It's just an increase on the bags?
Right.
Okay, and is there, what was the thinking behind that? I live in an apartment, so I don't use the transfer station. So I'm just curious.
Well, we looked at, like I said, 10 different scenarios, and some of them were increasing. Like it increase all the permits $5. How much would that generate? All the increase the permits $5, the bags $1. Increase the permit $5, the bags 50 cents. And the numbers that worked out the best was the bag increase. And also we just were, our bag price that we pay to buy the bags just went up significantly. As they claimed it as a result of COVID. We're in the process of going out for bids to get, to see if we can get a better price from the company that we've been working with in the past, but that cost did go up significantly.
So, Mr. Chair, just to kind of follow up on that too, when we met in the fall, which is normally when we talk about the transfer station rates, another discussion, part of the discussion about not raising the permits was due to COVID. And the fact that, people not necessarily being able to get out, and also feeling like, for example, the shed being closed, that they weren't getting the services that they were paying for. And we indicated at that time, and it was said in a public meeting that, we would come back and look at the bag fees, because there was this concern as in regards to that. So, I mean, the idea, in some ways is that, in order to kind of help maybe decrease your bag fees is, can you compost, which a lot of people are for. But the problem with that is that when you take it to the transfer station, there's not that many bins to put your compost in. So it's usually overflowing and things like that. So that's kind of a problem. And then of course, I think the screen flipped and I think I lost my point here. But we had made it clear. Oh, and then, maybe, are you recycling enough? Can you recycle more to kind of make your garbage even smaller? So, that's kind of the logic behind too. And again, with the bags being pay as you throw, you, the consumer, might be able to control that cost a little better. Whereas the permit, what are you getting for it?
Right. Okay, thank you. That does make a lot of sense.
I also would like to add that, as the two new positions, they would have to be approved by town meeting.
Yeah.
Of course, you never know what town meeting is going to do. So if for some reason they decided not to approve the positions, then 1 cent would be taken off the water and 2 cents would be taken off the sewer.
Okay, great.
But we really need the positions.
Yeah, and thank you for, definitely clarifying that. If the board members don't have any other questions on this, I can open it up if there's anybody on for public input.
Hello, Sean. Pauline's
Hello.
iPad chipping in.
Hi, Pauline. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. I listened to the rate review meeting yesterday, and I want to give Janice a shout out because she really did sort through all of the various options. As a longtime resident, as you know, and an avid supporter of the transfer station, I didn't get to see the slides last night because I was just listening, not watching. And unfortunately, I was cooking, so I didn't see them tonight either. I realize Mr. Wetzel thinks that increasing the permit fee and the bag fee doesn't exactly meet the criteria that he needs or meet the funding he needs. But as one who pays for a permit, I'm happy to pay another $5 or $10 for a permit because and Janice has hit every nail on the head squarely. The issue is people don't like buying those bags. Now I'm lucky. I'm a single person. I recycle fanatically. If I get 2 bags of trash up there every 6 months, I've done well. So everything goes in recycling because I just don't have a lot of trash. But I'm not the norm, but I do think people would accept a permit fee increase more than a bag fee. And I said this to Janice last night. I really think going back to stickers is the way because you can buy 20 bags at Walmart or a grocery store for half of what you can pay for the sleeve of 5 bags. And yes, there's some, what do I want to call it? Cheating on the stickers. But when we use stickers, people would come up with a stack of stickers and slap them on their bags because they could put so much more in a commercial bag than they can in a town bag, which is not a criticism, it's just a fact. So you may attract more people. The flip side of that is, unfortunately, we have younger residents who have never been to a dump in their life and think it's disgusting, so they don't want to have to go. And it's easier, as Janice said tonight, for someone to come and get their trash rather than for them to have to come and get it. But that creates an issue that I don't think anyone has given thought to. I walk a lot. I have a dog. My travel on Central Ave every day is impeded by trash containers waiting to be picked up by various commercial entities. I don't know why they are impeding the public way, but and I don't know what we can do about it, but that is becoming increasingly more popular. Trash containers are every 20 or 30 feet, or at least every fifth house. That's something that, impedes our quiet enjoyment or useful enjoyment of our town as well. That's not to say that they shouldn't, but maybe they should be in their driveway and not on the public way. So there are lots of things that I just want to share are of concern to people I know, I talk with, I encourage to use the transfer station. And I think public output and outreach might just make that a little bit more friendly to people. Opening that reuse shed will go a long way to bringing people back.
Great. Thank you, Pauline.
Mr.
Thank
Chair,
you, Sean.
just to
Yeah.
follow up a little bit too. So
Absolutely.
in the discussion yesterday too, we did talk about whether or not we would raise the permit fees. But the permit fee wouldn't go into effect until next year.
Absolutely.
So we would be waiting. So if we set the permit fee today, we're still waiting a year for the permit fee to go into effect. So when we meet in the fall to do more about the transfer station, we would be looking at the permit fee. And there are other people that would agree with Pauline. They'd rather pay for the permits than these bags. These bags drive you crazy. And there's also the concern, we're talking about plastic all the time. These are plastic bags. What kind of plastic is this? Is this a good plastic that will dissolve faster? So that is something that people talk about too, because again, they can maybe buy a better quality plastic bag at the store that may dissolve faster for the environment, lowering their costs. So, it is a whole double-edged sword, which again, is why I think that we will start, and I stressed this yesterday, I want it when we can all be in a room together, not just on Zoom, having some public hearings to talk all this out with the people and find out, so that if nothing else, whatever we do, we'll know it's a very informed decision. This is becoming, there are a lot of people that do like the transfer station. There are a lot of people who don't understand a transfer station. I don't know if, do we have Alan give tours? I don't know. But it is, and it's a problem that will kind of always be there no matter what you do. So you just have to do what you can to try to adjust as you go forward. So, but here we are. This is the scenario we're in right now.
Agreed.
Yeah, Sean, if I can just I don't want to belittle the whole discussion, but and make it go on. But a few years ago on the finance committee, we had discussed more about like an education program. So at the time, we had a lot of new development in town, new houses were being sold, and the question we were asking is, were the new residents aware of the transfer station, how it works, et cetera? And maybe that's something that can be part of the conversation going forward, is just communicating out to people or new residents to town where you get your stickers or bags, how it works, what the hours are, and kind of what the benefits you get, because you do get a lot of benefits by going to the transfer station that you don't get with curbside pickup.
I think that's a good point and something to explore for sure. Is there anybody else on for public input for this particular topic? And if not, so I believe do we need a motion to approve these to go to town meeting? Is that where we're at now?
The positions for town meeting.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Robert.
would be respectfully looking for a motion to recommend the two positions be forwarded to town meeting as part of the budget. And then would be looking to the select board to approve the water and sewer recommendation of the rate committee and the solid waste recommendation of the committee.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. All right. So
So I'll make a motion that the select board vote to approve the assistant superintendent for water and wastewater and the water and sewer billing clerk to be put on the town meeting warrant for town meeting approval.
I'll second.
Okay, Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. And
I'll make a motion for the select board to increase the water and sewer rates as proposed by the rate committee effective July 1, 2021.
Seconded.
okay, Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. And so the motion is approved. And then the last one, the pay-as-you-throw.
I'll make a motion for the select board to increase the pay-as-you-throw bag fees as proposed by the rate committee effective July 1, 2021.
Seconded.
Okay, Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Okay.
And the chair votes aye.
Okay, quick question, Mr. Chair, if it's okay. If we come up, if the rate committee or, other individuals in town come up with a fantastic idea of how to lower the cost to the consumer on the transfer stations, can that be a change that's made mid-year, or does it have to be on the set schedule?
So,
See, the transfer station runs on a calendar year. So like the permits run on the calendar year.
Oh, that's
So
right.
that could get tricky.
That would
I
get
don't,
tricky.
yeah.
Okay, thank you.
But thank you for bringing that up. So we'll have that part of our discussion again, at least for awareness.
Can I just ask a quick question for the minutes? Did Janice, you vote yes on that?
I voted okay.
So in the affirmative, okay.
Yes.
It's
Not a
like
gung ho.
semi-aye.
I wasn't a gung ho.
I didn't know okay was on the option list.
I couldn't.
Me either.
Oh, okay, great. Thank you very much, Mark and Janice, for the hearing.
So I'd like to make a motion to close the water, sewer, and solid waste public hearing.
I will second.
Okay, Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, and the public hearing is now closed. All right, our next item is consideration of for the TIF proposal for 1 Nemco Way.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
through you, we're joined this evening from Catania, Spagna. We have Mr. Anthony Basili and Mr. Joseph Basili, Mr. Mike Kotu, the CFO, and Ms. Lynn Tokarczyk, their consultant. The board should remember these individuals when they came before you last month. I'm also joined by Tom Hogan, the town's assessing administrator, Ms. Antonellis, and Mr. Manoyan, the Director of Economic Development, that were involved with this. And so this evening, we're pleased to present to the board for your consideration a TIF agreement between the town of Ayer and Catania, Spagna. In a moment, we'll put up a shared screen just for everybody's refresher or benefit. The Catania, Spagna approached the town of Ayer back on February 11th, indicating that they would like to seek consideration for a TIF with respect to their proposed expansion project, which is about a 51,500 square foot on-site manufacturing expansion. And this investment is estimated at about 14.4 million, including 6.3 million in construction costs, about 2.6 million for infrastructure costs, and 5.5 million for personal property. Additionally, the company plans to retain their 160 full-time jobs and create 30 new permanent full-time jobs over the next 5 years. And as the board is aware, on February 18th at your meeting, Catania, Spagna, and Ms. Tokarczyk I made a presentation about the project to the select board and the public, and indicated their intention to request a TIF. At that meeting, the select board had authorized myself as town manager, the assistant town manager, the assessing administrator, and the director of community and economic development to negotiate a proposed TIF agreement, subject to your approval for placement on the town meeting warrant. And that's what we're looking for tonight. And ultimately, that, as everyone knows, subject to approval by town meeting and then certification by the state. On March 10th, the company and the town, after a series of negotiations, reached an agreement, which you have in your packet. The terms would be for a 10-year TIF. It totals a 58% exemption of tax payments on the new expansion portion only of their project. So not the existing facility, but the new piece. And Ms. Antonellis is putting up the shared screen on that, which we'll come to in just a moment. The TIF agreement is subject to select board approval for the purposes of being put before town meeting, and that's what we're asking your consideration for this evening. The company has agreed to do a public informational outreach forum on both the expansion project and the TIF. Given the current COVID situation, that will obviously be on the remote Zoom platform. That's to occur before town meeting. We've also agreed to do a presentation at town meeting, obviously at the discretion of the moderator. The company will be available with the presentation and to answer any questions. And of course, the TIF agreement is subject to approval by town meeting. And you'll see on the shared screen, and this was provided in the packet to you for this meeting, sort of the breakdown of the 10-year agreement. As you can see, obviously it's a 10-year agreement starting in year one at a 95% exemption, then in year two down to 85%, down to 80. It basically, you see that you're getting us all the way down to year 10, where there's a 20% exemption. The total exemption, as mentioned, is 58%. You'll see right next to that, that the estimated savings to the company is approximately $783,673. The new real estate tax to the town would be $579,237 over the term of the agreement. The total revenue to the town, that would be the taxes to the town, including the base plus the new, would be about 2.7 million. And then the total combined revenues to the town in the final column. To conclude, as I mentioned before, and I think the company's presentation to the board last month also spoke volumes. Catania is a great company. They've been a long-term company here in the town of Ayer, very good corporate citizens. The 160 jobs that they currently have are high-paying, benefited jobs that are of value. We're looking forward to their expansion as they outlined to the select board at the last time. And we're confident through the negotiations that the agreement that we reached, these terms are fair and equitable to both the interests of the taxpayer in the town and to the company. And we would respectfully ask your consideration to move this forward to the town meeting on April 26th for the voters to approve. And so with that, before I turn it over to Lynn and her team, Mr. Chair, through you, I don't know if Mr. Hogan, if you wanted to add anything, or Mr. Minoyan is also on, and Ms. Antonellis were on our team, if they wanted to add anything or if I missed anything. You're muted, Tom.
Should know that by now. I don't have anything to say right now, Robert.
Okay. Alan?
Okay. Well, thank you, Robert. I'll just say quickly, when TIFs arrive at communities, they often come, involved with often, exciting or hot new trendy types, startup companies and enterprise. And there are a lot of proposed outcomes, like job creation, future growth, longevity. We'll stay a long time if you do this, with us. I'll stay with Catania Oils, olive oil and fine cooking oils are not trendy, if you will. It's a rock solid industry sector. It's eternal. It's about life and health in terms of a product. You might say, my God, it goes back to the Old Testament, So we're just saying it's a very well established and solid in terms of a industry sector. So that's just one important thing in terms of TIFs, because that's not often the case. TIFs often emerge in a community, from new arrivals or, external interests, which are often unknown. It's not that it's good or bad, it's just unknown. Here with Catania Oils, these folks have come to really embody the town, and they've really been embraced by the community, and they've been here for decades. I know myself, you can call Catania Oils, and very good chance you can call and speak with one of the family members that own and manage this company, and that's extraordinary. In terms of local employment, Catania Oils is, I'll call it an ever-flowing wellspring of local employment opportunities. You go on their site and on Facebook, it's the employment, and these are professional career positions with the company, fully benefited. So that's extraordinary to have what is literally a wellspring of constant job creation opportunity here in Ayer. Drive by their plant on Westford Road and look at the quality of the appearance, the design treatment of the plant property. That means a lot to us in Ayer as we're going forward, with the town really, coming into the next century. And in terms of the existing, plant expansion, it just further evidences a deep economic and civic devotion to the town. And I think this is a worthy partnership when you size it up. And this, in the opinion of my office, delivers long-range economic sustainability for our community. So in terms of TIFs, I think this one is really something exceptional. So thank you, Robert.
Thank you, Alan. And so, Mr. Chair, through you, I don't know if Mr. Karzik or representatives from Catania have anything that they want to add or state to the board.
Well, thank you, Robert. This is Lynn Tokarzik. I am the company's government incentives consultant. So thank you again for inviting us this evening. And I'd like to thank the town manager for his leadership to support Catania Oils in Ayer for their proposed expansion. And for the members of the TIF team, Alan, thank you for your kind remarks, as well as Robert, and also for the town assessor, who's been very instrumental. A special thank you to Carly Antonellis for her guidance and assistance throughout this entire process. And I know that the company has enjoyed being here for more than 25 years, being a manufacturer, being one of the largest manufacturers in the town of Ayer. And they so enjoy, as Alan mentioned, being embedded in the community of Ayer and participating with many, many community initiatives and programs. So thank you again for all of your support, and we hope you look favorably at this TIF proposal.
Great, thank you. Did anybody else from Catania want to speak, or?
Well, I'd just like to say thank you to Robert and Alan for those comments. They were very true. And you've said it all, Robert. We have two facilities on NEPCO. One is about 100,000 square feet. That is our main office in the distribution center, and the other facility is our manufacturing facility. It's about 96,000 square feet. And we did a site search for this expansion. We had a lot of options, but we're choosing to try to stay in Ayer as much as we can. The investment is substantial, and we're willing to work with the town to make it a successful operation.
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you for your consideration.
Any questions from the board members?
I don't have any questions.
No.
I guess the only, I look forward to the public outreach that you'll do before town meeting, because I've heard some feedback from some residents, just concerns about expanded traffic in that area. So hopefully we can come to a good solution for that going forward.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't have any questions either. The agreement looks good. Exciting to have, the additional jobs in town. And just to echo kind of what Board Member Hood was saying, the public outreach will be be really good for the same reasons. So if there's no other questions, do we want to move the TIF forward to town meeting?
Mr. Chair,
Oh, yes, Robert.
I had sent to the select board the specific.
Oh,
vote
yes. Yep.
language. If the board wanted to use that motion, if you will, and then just to clarify procedurally, so everybody knows, after tonight, if the board votes in the affirmative, then my office in Catania and Lynn will coordinate the public outreach, which we've agreed will occur in advance of the town meeting. Additionally, all of the materials related to this TIF will be on the town's website this week, the budget page website. And if there are any additional materials Catania may have, such as the presentation they gave previously about the expansion and so forth, we'll make sure that is also available to the public. And they're also going to be at town meeting, and through the moderator would have a presentation as well. So just to clarify, sort of next steps, assuming the board votes affirmative tonight. Thank you.
And just, I kind of jumped ahead a little bit. I want to give, if there's any public input on this topic before we vote, I want to give people an opportunity. Okay, thanks. Did either of the other board members want to make the motion, or I guess I could if.
I have the motion up. I can read
Okay.
it.
Sure, go ahead, thanks.
I'll make a motion that the board vote to recommend to town meeting a tax increment financing agreement in accordance with the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 59, Section 40, between the town of Ayer and Catania Spagna Corporation and Jar Realty Corporation, and to approve the submission of the EDIP local incentive only application to the Massachusetts Economic Assistance Coordinating Council in accordance with the provisions of Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 23A, Section 3A and 3C.
Second.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye, and the motion is approved.
That was a mouthful.
That was, I'm glad it was you.
So I paused too to make sure you weren't.
Great. Thank you guys so much for being here and for this, for being available to us. And we look forward to the next steps.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
for your support
Likewise.
so much.
Thank you, folks.
Thank you.
Enjoy your night.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Right.
Next item up is our presentation from the town engineer. Good evening, Dan. How are you?
Hey, good evening, Sean. Good evening, everyone. I don't have a formal presentation, but I have 3 agenda items.
All right.
The first one is a contract for execution that I'm bringing forward. It's for the execution of a contract for the FY21 sanitary sewer rehab project. And Mark was actually showing you some pictures earlier of the infiltration in the sewer pipe. And that's what this project is related to. So we're working on repairing our infiltration inflow issues, as well as our, we have structural issues to our pipes as well. So we bid the project and we received bids on February 24th, and we received 6 bids. And the low bidder was $348,040, and it was in situ form technologies. And we actually worked with them on the previous phase, and they're a top-notch firm working on this type of work. So we recommend executing the contract with In Situ Form Technologies for the $348,040, and that's for signature by the chair.
Any questions?
No questions.
No questions.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that the select board execute the contract with Institute Form Technologies LLC for $348,040 for signature by the chair.
I will second.
Okay, Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. It's affirmed.
Okay. The next item is execution of a contract for Wright Road water main replacement. And Mark actually touched on this earlier too. We've had a couple of water main breaks on Wright Road in recent years, especially on the half of Wright Road near Snake Hill Road. So we're going to replace the water main out there. We bid the project and received bids on March 4th. We received a lot of bids. We received 13 bids, and they came in lower than I expected. The low bidder, actually, if you see in my memo, was at $198,770, and that was CHB Excavating. But he had an error on his, he used the wrong bid form. So according to procurement laws, it actually affected his price. So we had to reject that bid. So the next lowest bidder is Cedrone Trucking Inc., and they were at a price of $223,301.50. And they have provided all their insurance and bonds, and they are qualified. So we recommend executing the contract with Cedrone Trucking Inc. for the $223,301.50. That's for signature by the board.
Any questions?
I
No
have none.
questions.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to execute the contract with Cedrone Trucking for $223,301.50 for signature by the board for the Wright Road water main replacement.
Seconded.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. So it's approved.
Okay. And the last item I have is street acceptance petition for Trevor Trail, the vote of intent to lay out. So you'll see in the packet, Mr. CJ Moore has petitioned for street acceptance for Trevor Trail and some associated portions on the extension of Pleasant Street. Oh, here we go. Carly's got the plan. There we go. So this is part of the Riley Jane Farm subdivision. We're calling it phase 1, but they've completed the work on this area of roadway. There are some punch items left, which I actually included the list in the packet. And so they'll need to have those punch items completed before town meeting. Otherwise, we won't allow the road to be accepted. But anyhow, the first step in the process is for the board, the select board, to vote intention to lay out the street. And then from there, it gets referred to the planning board for a recommendation back to the select board. So I laid that all out in the memo. I don't know if you want me to go through it all, but this is the vote tonight would be to vote the intention to lay out the street. I don't know if I put the language in there, but.
Okay. Any questions? Janice or Scott?
No questions. Thanks.
No.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that the select board vote to make a motion that we approve the intention to lay out the street on Riley Jane Farm as outlined here.
I'll
That was a
second.
horrible motion.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
And Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. So the motion is approved.
All right, that's all I had. Thank you. I was a
Great.
little quick for you.
Thanks, Dan.
Have a good night.
You too. Thank you.
Good night. Thank you.
That brings us to our town manager's report.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, good evening. Under my report, you have in your packet all of the town warrants that were reviewed and approved since the board last met on March 2nd. In terms of the administrative update, since the board last met, the main focus has been all things budget and all things town meeting, which each of you are intimately involved with. In the interest of time, unless there are any specific questions from the select board, I'll move right into the items of my report.
Okay.
So the first is the COVID-19 update and reopening plan discussion. So on the COVID-19 side of things, there remains a cautiously favorable trend. We remain classified as yellow, down from red from a couple of weeks ago. So there's a moderate risk. All of our ongoing COVID-19 preparedness measures remain in place. Additionally, on the financial end, things remain stable as well, which is good. We continue our efforts with the Neshoba Valley, other towns in the Neshoba Valley, along with the Neshoba Boards of Health and the state delegation. We continue our efforts to try to get a regional vaccination site here in North Central Massachusetts, as this is one of the areas in the state that still does not have, if you will, a larger center. I hope to have more favorable update by March 30th on that, but a lot of efforts are underway to make that happen. I wanted to discuss tonight, and I value the input of the board, sort of the reopening plan for the town. And I think the first thing is, it's hard to believe that it's been a year, just about a year now, and we phased into this situation, and we need to phase out of this situation. And as we do that, obviously the most important thing is the public safety, but also our employees' safety as we transition. It's important to note that we still are in a state of emergency in a COVID-19 pandemic. It's important to note that the majority of town employees are not fully vaccinated to date. The exception is, of course, fire, police, and dispatch, but the majority of employees, and frankly, the majority of the public, are not fully vaccinated yet. So with that being said, we're going to propose a phased-in approach to reopening. And so what the phase, and I've put together a team that has been working on this. It consists of myself, the assistant town manager, the benefits and payroll manager, Kevin Johnson, who's also the COVID compliance officer for the town, the facilities director, the IT director, and of course, a respective department head for our offsite locations. Say, for example, DPW would be the DPW superintendent. Our plan under phase one is to go to phase one reopening on Monday, April 5th of 2021. And we'll start with an appointment only system. This will be pre-advertised, obviously, to the public. We'll have all of the details for the next select board meeting. But on April 5th, Dr. Malone is returning the students to school, and the majority of school systems around our area, the majority are going into in-class learning. So it makes sense that phase one would commence on April 1st as an appointment only system. I'm meeting with all of the department heads tomorrow regarding the overall reopening, specifically the library, the Council on Aging. So we'll have more information as far as those offsite locations. Same with DPW, fire, and police. I'm also meeting with the Parks and Rec director tomorrow, Mr. Thomas. Our plan is, when I say our plan, Parks and Rec, the Parks Commission, Mr. Thomas, myself, and in consultation with the Board of Health. The plan is, as long as these trends continue, is to open the beach and the park programs. Of course, we have to follow any state protocols, but the plan is this season, if these trends continue to be favorable, we will move towards a reopening. And so we're meeting tomorrow as well. Once we get phase one, starting on April 5th, then we get that going. Our goal is, and this may be expedited by the state as requirements change, just as it could also be, and let's hope this doesn't happen, that we have to take steps back. So our entire plan is predicated, if you will, on also the state guidance. Phase two would be the expanded opening, which would consist of, window transactions at the town hall, further opening of the town hall, moving away from the appointment system, and expanded opening. And then phase three would be to be fully opened. And the thing that can help us best, and what is frustrating, is the faster that folks can get vaccinated, not just employees, obviously, but the public also helps. It would be, in an ideal situation on April 5th, the ideal would be as if everybody was fully vaccinated. Obviously, that isn't the case, so we're approaching this phased approach. So the first date is April 5th with the appointment only system. We will have an update also for the select board when you meet next. Once I've met with the other offsite locations, and folks have been working on this as to far as what their reopening is. So I know that, again, the parks and rec, the opening of the beach and so forth, that is planned to happen in accordance with any state guidance. And if these trends continue, we see that happening. Same with the library, COA, and obviously the schools will be opening on the 5th. I think we all need to be prepared that in any plan there can be hiccups. There can also be setbacks. We've done really well overall, but a positive, case or positive cases could, affect that. And I think we all want to get to a point of being fully reopened. We just need to do it in a safe manner, which we will do, and we will move in that direction. The other piece with the IT director and this team has been working on is the issue of public meetings. And as of right now, the majority of municipalities are using the Zoom platform as we are. And the challenges there are in phase two, as we begin to get towards expanded opening, and we'll be asking folks for their input of getting to a point of getting back to in-person meetings. The challenge is if, for example, if tonight's meeting had been in person, in addition to the select board and the respective staff, there would probably be multiple people in the first floor meeting room. The questions posed is who's going to enforce, these are rhetorical, we're working on this, so we'll have answers, but who's going to enforce the social distancing, the masks? Are members of boards and committees comfortable yet meeting in person? Some of these boards and committees, some individuals haven't physically seen each other in almost a year. And if there's a board that has, say, 5 members and 3 aren't comfortable and 2 are. So for right now in this phase one period, unless we hear otherwise, and I know there are pros and cons and challenges to the Zoom platform, at this point, we're still recommending using the Zoom platform at this time. Of course, we want to get to, and we'll get to as quickly as we can, into in-person public meetings, if you will. So that is sort of an initial update of the plan. I'll have another update on March 30th. I'll sort of keep this as the reopening as a standing item under the COVID-19 report. I welcome any thoughts from the board, and you may think of these things after tonight's meeting, any input. But again, our goal is to get reopened, but to get reopened in a safe, progressive, meaning we phased into this, we'll phase out of it, manner. and we'll have more update on it. And everything that we have done, everybody that has done, the sacrifices made have been effective for the town. We have not had a major super spreader event. We have not had a major infection event. And a lot of sacrifices were made from employees, board and committee members, and the public. And we appreciate that patience. And we're very aware that, you know, the public is anxious for reopening, and reopening is happening on the local, state, and federal level as we continue to move in the right direction. And we want to keep that trend going. It does no good to just open, and then if we have a massive infection situation, that's a huge setback. So we're confident with this 3-phase approach. Phase 1 starting on April 5th. We'll have a better sense when I report back to the board as we implement this, moving towards phase 2. And then phase 3, which is really, if you think of phase 3 as like the full opening, the full return, the big piece on that is the vaccination part. But depending on who you listen to, there's a lot of encouragement that, you know, by the late spring, by the summer, we're going to be moving forward. So that's sort of our overview for tonight. This will be a standing item under my report, so we'll discuss it more on the 30th. But the takeaway tonight is the plan is for the schools to go back on April 5th. The plan is for the town hall to return fully to the normal hours with an appointment system on the 5th. We're looking towards opening the beach and so forth usually opens Memorial Day weekend. We will be looking to have a plan for the beach and the rec programs, again, following state guidance to open. And tomorrow I'll be meeting with all of the offset site departments. We have a department meeting, and this is the main focus, such as DPW, fire, police, library, and the goal is to get them also moving in that direction as well. If there aren't any questions now, again, if you think of some, we welcome any, you know, suggestions, best practices, ideas, concerns, and this will all be publicly communicated in advance for the public as we move forward.
Just one thing, just don't forget the shed. I mean, all jokes aside, people really want to know, not just about the beach. When is the shed opening? Because the day the shed opens, there is going to be a line of people dropping stuff off on the shed. I'll be in that line, by the way. But all jokes aside, don't forget to bring up the shed.
The shed is on the list, Selectman Livingston. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mr. Chair, if I may add, in regards to the pond, one thing to keep in mind is that the lifeguard employees require annual certifications for lifeguard training. So therefore, a communication should go out to those lifeguards or, you know, so they can make sure that they are in position in the event that the pond does reopen.
Excellent point, Selectman Hood, and I know that's on my list, and I'm sure it's on Jeff's list for tomorrow. So, okay. And like I said, it'll be on the agenda for the 30th, and we will work as a community as we move forward with this. Next, I had the FY22 budget and annual town meeting update and review of draft warrants. So briefly on the budget, where it stands now, we're on draft 3, which everybody has. And again, the 2022 budget page on the town's website has all of the major documents. The omnibus budget right now is still at about 16.1 million. It's about a $539,000 increase over last year, or a 3.45% increase. However, it's important to note, of the $539,000 increase, 150,000 of that is the reserve fund transfer increase, which we hope is a one-time thing due to COVID for the upcoming year. And that translates into about a 1% increase. So if it wasn't for the RFT recommendation, which is a good one, it would be about 2.45%. The outstanding issues on the budget That list is really shrinking, and there are a couple items tonight in executive session that will hopefully resolve that. And then the two, the police and dispatch contract negotiations are outstanding. And then the recommended uses of free cash. Again, we talked about this at the last select board meeting, and that was really from Ms. Gabri and I, but the buy board is going to meet as it usually does to discuss the recommended uses. And of course, the board will as well. As mentioned, the certification of free cash this year due to COVID, not on our end as much, was delayed. So that was just an initial discussion that we had. April 6th is still the plan for the joint meeting of the select board and the FinCom to review and approve the budget for town meeting. In terms of the town meeting, you have a working draft of the town meeting warrant as of March 12th. Since then, of course, some things have already changed as it's a working draft. The warrant also closes on Friday, April 2nd at 12 noon. That's also the deadline for any citizens petitions. And if individuals have citizens petitions or questions on citizens petitions, they should contact the town clerk's office. And the goal is on April 6th to have, when the FinCom and the select board review and approve the budget for the warrant, to approve the warrant as well. Upon approval, the warrant will be publicly posted on April 9th, and it will be sent to printing and to be mailed to the 4,200 households in the town in advance of town meeting. In the interest of time, I just want to point out a couple things. When we meet on March 30th, and I'll have more information, it is looking like we're going to need a single item special town meeting right before the annual regarding the ambulance enterprise fund. The revenue to the ambulance enterprise fund is down, and we believe that's due to some COVID-19 impacts. It is not, expenditures aren't over. There's a revenue issue that we will need to address. We'll have an update for the board on the 30th. So as we've done in the past on occasion, that would be a special town meeting right before the annual. So those funds would be available to correct that. In the interest of time, just a quick overview, and if you have questions on the working draft, it's pretty, I'll just highlight some of the key points. Article 2 and Article 3 are the two placeholders for the two contracts, patrol and dispatch. We're optimistic we will be in a position for both of those. They always do a brief presentation at town meeting on those. Article 4 will be the omnibus budget. The omnibus will also be printed in the warrant with the footnotes, and the buy board will be discussing at their next meeting. We always do a presentation at town meeting on the budget. There will also be the budget book, which we started last year. There'll be a new budget book put together on the budget as well. And the annual town report will also be available at town meeting. Article 5 and 6 are the two school assessment articles. Articles 7 through 10 are the enterprise fund articles, and after tonight's votes by the select board, we'll be able to get those accurate numbers into that. And their information is available at town meeting as well on those. 11 and 12 are the two capital budget articles, if you will. And we are prepared as always for presentation and answer questions on these requests at town meeting. Also, all of the capital budget minutes and information is available on the capital budget, capital committee webpage on the town's webpage. Articles 13 is the UDAG replenishment. This is the final replenishment from the eminent domain suit of $230,000. And Article 14 is the OPEB article, where based on standing policy that we have, we ultimately put $300,000 in to OPEB. In this case, $178,000 will be coming from free cash and $122,000 from the meals tax. You'll see Articles 16 through 19 are really the four raise articles. The one is on the first year borrowing. Article 17 is the aquatic weed control from the Conservation Commission. Article 18 is the Conservation Fund, $5,000. Article 19 is the matching funds for the firefighter grant. Article 20 is the compensated balance article. The board will recall that the town meeting approved the creation of this at the June 15th annual meeting last year. And this seeks to put, at this time, $50,000 into that. This is for compensated absences such as separation from the town and so forth. Article 21 would be the second payment of the forward funding of the town's pension assessment. The first one was done in the fall town meeting of 300,000. We're doing these two. This is actually the second payment, and the presentation had been done at a previous town meeting and to this board that by doing this, it's estimated, the estimated savings are about 1.3 million through the full funding period. Article 22 is the stabilization fund. And again, I put notes in this draft. Obviously, these amounts are subject to review, revision, finalization by the select board and by board. This was just that we used, Ms. Cabri and I made a general recommendation last time. 23 and 24 will be the community preservation fund articles. We're just waiting for the committee to finish up there. Article 25 will be the TIF article as the board voted tonight. This will be the article, so we'll be able to fill in more info on this. Article 26 is the transfer of the Woodlawn Cemetery to the town. I will have an update for the board at the March 30th meeting on this and explaining, again, as we've discussed, this is really a two-part process. Article 26 is seeking authorization from the town meeting. If the town meeting approves that, then we will move forward with all of the due diligence on accepting the cemetery. And in addition to accepting the cemetery, it's also the funds and the personal property with the cemetery. And then the plan would be to develop the budget and the rest of the operational details for next year. So it's sort of a two-part process. We will have a presentation at town meeting, but I'll have an update at your next meeting on this. Article 27 is the Affordable Housing Trust bylaw. As the board is aware, at the last town meeting, the first step in that process was approved. This is the second piece. The Affordable Housing Committee is having its final public outreach session and is just finalizing this, and we'll get that in there. And then there'll be a presentation at town meeting as well. Article 28 is under development by the town engineer and under review by town council. This is and I put in the red text an explanatory note on this article. This has to do with a loop of the water main, but it involves some rail trail land, which is state land, Article 97. We'll have more on this for the next meeting as well. Article 29 is being finalized by the town engineer and town council. This is an update to the town's stormwater bylaw, which is needed to be in compliance with the Nippities Phase 2 permit. Article 30 is similar, the illicit discharge to municipal storm drain system. This is also required to meet the town's MS4 permits. So there's more to come on that. And then lastly, Article 31 would be town meeting's approval for Trevor Trail. Tonight, the board voted its intent to lay it out. It will now go to the planning board. It's subject to planning board favorable approval by the planning board with input from the DPW. All of those pieces come together at town meeting, then would be it up to town meeting to vote to accept it. So those are the 31 articles as of right now. I don't know if there are any initial questions on the warrant. I know that's pretty quick, but in the interest of time, just to give an overview. Okay. The next item, I'm actually going to turn over to the Assistant Town Manager, is a reserve fund transfer request having to do with the general insurance. So, Mr. Chair, through you, I'll have Ms. Antonellis frame that.
Thank you, Robert. So I had submitted a memo in your packet about the need for a reserve fund request for the general insurance line items. We had some additional exposure with our workers' comp audit, which was done after the start of the July 1st budget for 21. And then also we have trying to contain our costs. We have a $10,000 deductible. We went with a higher deductible plan for our 111F coverage, which is police and fire accident. At the time, there was no, we had no claims or cases. We've had an uptick in cases since July 1st. So the 23,000 would be to cover, we haven't eaten that $10,000 deductible yet, but I would like to transfer the whole amount to cover in the event that we do need it, because I have several claims going right now.
Questions?
No questions.
None.
I'll make a motion to approve the reserve fund transfer for general insurance account 01193 in the amount of $23,000 as presented.
Seconded.
Okay, Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye.
And if I could just add where why our insurance numbers in the FY22 budget aren't completely accurate yet is we're going over our workers' comp, and Lisa and I and Kevin are working on the payroll audit to make sure that the insurance company has the correct and most up-to-date payroll costs, so we don't have to go through this again next year.
Great, thank you.
Sure.
Thank you, Carly. The next item is a discussion of the town moderator vacancy. And as I put in the packet, with the annual town meeting fast approaching on April 26th, and obviously with the bylaw change, the election of town offices is now going to be on May 11th after town meeting. I'd like to discuss or have the board discuss or provide some direction on the issue of the town moderator vacancy. And just to give a little history, we really are in a very unique situation. As how we got to this point, as everybody is aware, the town meeting was moved to the June 15th. On June 15th, our former town moderator, Mr. Horgan, at the meeting which is his authority, had made Mr. Goodwin the deputy moderator for that night because we were going to use the overflow room due to COVID-19. No sooner did that process happen, the moderator had to leave the meeting as a medical emergency. At that time, Mr. Goodwin was sworn in as the acting moderator that night by the town clerk and ran the meeting. We then moved to the special town meeting that was on October the 26th of this past year. Sadly, Mr. Horgan passed prior to that meeting. So there was no moderator at that time. And the town followed the provisions of Chapter 41, Section 11. The town clerk opened the meeting as the acting moderator, which she is by statute. A nomination was made and seconded to nominate Sam Goodwin to be the acting moderator for that meeting. And he was elected by the town meeting and he ran that meeting. Since that time, obviously there's a vacancy. There's an election scheduled for that on May 11th. At this time, there are at least 2 candidates running. And the question has come up, what does the town do with respect to the vacancy at the town meeting on April 26th? And there's really 2 legal methods that can be considered. The first one is the Mass General Law, Chapter 39, Section 14. That was what was followed at the fall town meeting. In other words, the town clerk opens the meeting. She's the acting town moderator. Nominations can be made from the body, from the floor of town meeting. The only requirement, they have to be a voter of the town meeting. Motion made and seconded. If there's multiple candidates that are moved and seconded, then the town meeting votes, and the nomination that receives the most votes, the simple majority, becomes the acting moderator. So under that method, it allows the town meeting and technically any of the participants could be nominated to be moderator for that meeting. If there are no nominations, or if the town meeting fails to nominate somebody, then the town clerk would continue for that meeting as the acting moderator. The second option is under Chapter 41, Section 11, that states that if a vacancy occurs, in this case, in the moderator's position, the select board shall in writing appoint a person to fill the vacancy until the next town election. And the statute after that, as far as process, is silent. And we've dealt with it, in other words, so to meet the legal standards, it would have to be obviously at a duly posted meeting, and the select board takes a vote and appoints somebody in writing. Now, pretty much since I've been here for the select board, has always insisted on some type of a public process, like when we have vacancy on the Board of Health or vacancy on the planning board. Whenever there's a vacancy, what we've traditionally done, because the statute is silent on process, what the town of Ayer we've done is we've advertised the opportunity, usually for a period of time, 2 weeks, take letters of interest or applications, and then the select board at a meeting would interview those that are interested and then make a decision. So there's some kind of process. And I think that was started several years ago. So basically the question is, as we approach the 26th, what is the will of the board on how to proceed? The board could appoint somebody as an interim until the next election. The board could have town meeting elect that person through that Chapter 39 process. So I put this in the packet to sort of just outline it. It would be helpful, I think, for myself and Ms. Copeland as the town clerk, and I think for the town as a whole, if we have sort of a sense how the select board would like to proceed to address this.
Yeah, if so, Scott or Janice, do either of you have thoughts that you'd like to share first, or?
So quick question, maybe Robert said this and I kind of missed it because I thought he said it and then I thought he said something else. Why didn't in October we use the Mass General Law, Chapter 41, Section 11, and appoint the moderator until the next election at that time?
We used the Chapter 39, Section 14. The board never did an appointment.
Right, we did it that night, but what I'm saying is, I guess since we made the motion, I just, why didn't we just do it so that this would already have been taken care of? That
I think, well, if memory recalls, given the uniqueness of the situation, the passing of the moderator and then the town meeting happening, there was not enough time. I'd have to look back to do the duly posted meeting and do the appointment. So the plan was, if you will, a very unique situation that Ayer is in. The decision was made to have the town meeting do it, and they could have just had the town clerk by statute do it, but there was that election. But I think that the time was so small, but in between the passing of the moderator and the town meeting.
Okay.
Scott, did you have?
Yeah, I think looking at the timeline, the fact that the election is directly after town meeting, that perhaps we allow town meeting to decide that night if the individuals want to come forward and give a 1 to 2 minute spiel about why they would like to and what qualifications they have to run the meeting, and just let the public body decide.
I agree. I think that in this scenario, we would be kind of getting into a political lane.
Mhm.
And I think it is best if the decision is made at town meeting. I mean, the last time it only took a few minutes. I don't think the town meeting would take an abundance of time, but of course, if they wanted to, that's their choice. But I think it would be a better way of doing it.
Agreed. I think that, by the time we would post to bring this up at a meeting, we're already into when nomination papers are in, and it does kind of get into, then it's the political time. So given that we have this option of town meeting getting to facilitate that, I think we should stick with that. That would be my preference. Madam Clerk?
Hello. Thank you, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to sort of add my 2 cents, which I think the select board is already obviously on that path, but we did pass a government organization reorganization. And in that, there was an uncertainty with the town meeting floor about losing their voice, losing their vote. And this is going to be an example of that. They still have their voice, they still have their vote at town meeting. So given this opportunity that they can vote at town meeting, I think is better than making an appointment in a quick time frame. It's showing that it's not, because perception's everything, and it's not the choice of the select board, which is 3 people, but we're giving it to town meeting. So that's only mine. I mean, it does add a little extra to the meeting because I want everybody to be prepared and ready for the night. But we always make it through. So I have confidence in myself. And we just have to have faith in the residents in town meeting that they're going to continue to make clear and the right choices. So I just wanted to add my 2 cents.
Thank you. I think, yeah, anytime you can go with the most democratic option, it's probably the better way to go. So does that sound like a good plan, Robert? We can just leave this until town meeting and allow it to be decided then. I think that sounds, we're all in agreement on.
Yeah, what I would recommend, and I will put by the town clerk is, so then we will go to town meeting. At town meeting, the town clerk will call the meeting to order, as under the statute, she's the acting town moderator. And then she'll open the floor for nominations, and anybody can be nominated. When I say anybody, that's a voter of town meeting can be nominated. A motion would be made of person X, and as long as that's seconded, and then there could be multiple people nominated, and then the town meeting will elect that person by a simple majority vote. And town council will also be available if perhaps, or Susan can do this either way, sort of just explain clearly, the procedure so everybody's on the same page. And then whoever is elected by town meeting will be the acting moderator for that meeting. And then we'll have the election, and whoever wins in the election will be the moderator. This is helpful. I mean, I think there were a lot of questions as we're coming up to town meeting, and wanted to get a sense of what the will of the board is regarding this.
Anything else on that, Janice or Scott?
No, thanks.
The last item that I have, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, I'm also going to turn over to the Assistant Town Manager regarding the discharge of statement of claim for 128 Washington Street. As the board's aware, we are pleased to report that we have recovered the town's money spent on the cleanup and enforcement of 128 Washington Street. It's a very long process, and a special thanks to Miss Antonellis, who was the point person in dealing with town council, the bank, and the Attorney General's office on it. So with that, I'll just turn it over to Carly. Carly?
Thank you. So just by way of background, and you all remember we did some significant property enforcement over the past, I would say 7 years or so. This is like the last step of all the property enforcement between 66 Westford Road, the former McNiff Farm. The town has been made whole. 14 William Street, that is in the process of being foreclosed, or I'm sorry, being auctioned right now by the
good.
state attorney general's office. Actually, the receiver of the property bid successfully, so he now owns the house and he will be reselling it, 14 Washington. So I would assume you'll see some movement on that in the next 2 to 3 months. And then finally on 128 Washington Street, this was the final cost. This one took a lot longer because during the time of property enforcement, it was in an active foreclosure. And so we've gone through the process and the town was paid back for the cleanup costs plus interest. What will happen now, if you approve this tonight, there's an original for your signature. Then we send it over to town council and they'll record it at the registry of deeds for us. And then we'll be all done with property enforcement and getting our money back returned.
Any questions? Good job, Carly.
It's a big binder. I'll be happy to put it back on the shelf.
Thanks for the update on 14 Williams too, because that's down, it's just a few houses down from me. And I know that that's been a question a lot, so.
Yeah, and that one's under the Attorney General's office, their abandoned property division. They've done a great job. They're helping us on another property as well. They were kind of involved in 128 Washington, but with the active foreclosure, it just added another level that we had to go through. But they've been very helpful, and on 14 Williams and 128 Washington, they absorbed a lot of our legal costs on behalf of the town.
Okay, so does somebody want to do the motion on this?
So I'll make the motion.
Go ahead, Janice.
Okay. I'll make the motion that the select board approve the discharge of statement of claim for 128 Washington Street as presented by the assistant town manager tonight.
I will second.
Okay, board member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. It's approved. Thank you, Carly.
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, Pauline's iPad checking in again.
Yes, Pauline?
I don't want to be labor anything and make your meeting longer than it is, because this is very long for you, I know. But I have a couple of questions on the warrant, and I'll just leave them with you.
Okay.
And then Robert, Carly, or whomever can get back to me. I want to commend Carly on the 14 Washington and 128, I'm sorry, 14 Williams and 128 Washington. You've done great work. I'm happy to see that the town has recovered what it has. It's been a very long battle, so congratulations to you for that. On the warrant, Article 11, I have questions about the police station HVAC replacement. And I would like to know how best to get the RFP docs pertaining to that $145,000 request, because I do know an RFP was submitted, or a proposal was submitted for about half that. about less than $70,000. I saw it with my own eyes. So I would like to know how best I can obtain those documents. So that's one question.
Can I just say, I don't think we have the bid documents yet until if it's approved at town meeting, then we'll start that process.
And
But
how,
maybe
how
the
would-
estimates, I would think, from certain vendors.
all right, well, I'll contact you tomorrow, Carly, to discuss that if you don't mind,
Sure.
because I believe it was submitted in a couple of years ago. I'll just
Okay.
leave it at that because I'm at home and I'm not at work. On Article 22, stabilization fund. Okay, a couple of weeks ago, I said it was a little silly to put $5,600 in the stabilization account, and that was poor choice on my part. But the financial policies specify what should go into stabilization and what should go into capital stabilization. Were those policies checked before this warrant was created? Or the omnibus was created?
Yes, Mr. Chair, through you, of course they were. And secondly, if you read the note, and as I mentioned earlier, this is still subject to finalization by the buy board and the select board. And your comment from the last meeting is under advisement.
Excellent, fine. And I understand that $5,600 just doesn't cut it for me, Robert. You know my history. So I think more in stabilization is better than less. And a percentage of what goes into stabilization then goes into capital per the financial policies. I looked at them after our meeting, or your meeting, sorry, the other day, and did the math, and I think there's some wiggle room there, and that's all I want to say on that front. So I look forward to updates. And then on Article 25 regarding the TIF for Catania Spania, they're a great corporation. They've done wonderful things for the town of Ayer. So this is not a reflection on them. My question pertains more to where is the TIF review committee at this stage of things, and did they review it? Who are the parties? I couldn't find anything on the town website. I couldn't find the application. I couldn't find any of the documents for this particular TIF. And my concern, so I'm totally honest with all of you, is that there's absolutely no increase over the 10-year span. And we all are fully aware that property values increase over 10 years. My little old house I bought for $100,000 is worth a whole lot more today. And I realize these are all based on estimates, but I share with you, I love TIFs. I think they're great for business. But I don't want to have to tell people this is all based on estimates because they just won't get it. So if you can at least embellish on that for town meeting, people get tired at town meeting too. So those are just a couple of thoughts I wanted to share after I reviewed this. And I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to do so. That's all.
Great. Thank you, Pauline.
Thank you, Sean.
And Carly, and you can follow up tomorrow with
Yep.
Pauline? Okay, great. Thank you. Okay. So for next would be new business and selectmen questions, which there was nothing under that. Is that correct?
Correct.
Scott? Yes. Okay. And then the approval of the meeting minutes. I just want to make sure this is done correctly. So I was not at these should be done separately, correct? I wasn't at one of the meetings. So
Yeah, we approved them different. Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
But did you see any spelling errors or anything?
No. I can speak to the spelling, not to the content.
Okay.
Okay, so do you want to do January 27th first?
Okay. So I had no issues, so I'll make a motion that the select board approve the January 27th, 2021 meeting minutes.
I'll second.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. February 18th, 2021.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for February 18th, 2021 as presented.
Seconded.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair abstains. So March 2nd, 2021.
I'll make a motion to approve meeting minutes for March 2nd, 2021 as presented.
Seconded.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. And March 8th, 2021.
I
I'll
even
make a
remember
motion.
those days.
What's that?
I said, I'm trying to even remember those days.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes for March 8th, 2021 as presented.
Seconded.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. And that concludes our open meeting, and we are going to go into executive session now.
Mr. Chair.
Take care.
Yes, yes.
Nice being here.
Good night.
Thank you, James.
Right.
Thank you, Jim.
So, Mr.
Tell
Chair.
if you liked the letter. Bye.
Bye.
Aye.
Mr. Chair, I make a motion that the select board enter into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, exemption number 2, non-union contract negotiations, treasurer tax collector, and DPW superintendent, and exemption number 3, union contract negotiations, police patrol and dispatch contract update, and to adjourn from executive session. To discuss these matters in open session would be detrimental to the town's negotiation strategy.
I'll second.
Okay, Board Member Livingston, how do you vote?
Aye.
Board Member Hood, how do you vote?
Aye.
The chair votes aye, and we are now in executive session.